You're listening to Her Money, Her Business, a podcast for women starting or growing their own business. And it features episodes about knowing your finances, improving your money confidence, and growing a profitable business that's built to last. If you wish you were good with money, want to feel more confident managing your money, or want to struggle less while making money, then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Sonja Balzarolo, business financials coach, bookkeeper, and champion for women who want to be the master of their own financials. So let's get started. Well, hello and welcome back. So today is episode 28, and I'm talking about taking action on your goals. So for the month of February, I've been talking about goal setting, and I thought this was a nice one to follow on from last week. So last week we talked about how to set goals and budgets, and this week taking action is obviously that logical next step. So it's fantastic if we sit down and write our goals for the year and have those steps in place that we're working towards. But if we don't talk about that extra part of this, which is the taking action, then they're really just dreams. They're not really goals or things that you're actually working towards. So let's have a chat about that today. So I wanted to start off with talking about having goals in place and what you do with those goals. So just taking a step back and talking about or following on from what I talked about last week on the podcast, where I step by step went through how to set a budget and some goals. So having the goals in place, the next step to help you take action is actually then stepping out those goals into action points. So the way I like to do this is actually using an online tool. So I've tried almost all of them over the last sort of 7 or 8 years in business. So I started with Trello. I used Asana for a couple of projects with external contractors I was working with, and they seem to work quite well. Clickup I have tried, and I do still like Clickup. It's very comprehensive, but that can be overwhelming for some people. Something I discovered recently through a group membership that I'm in called the Insta Growth Club by Jade Warren. Jade has discovered Notion, and she's been trialing that, and she's given us some templates that she set up for social media management, which is awesome. But Notion, I think, is also a fantastic tool to move forward with goal setting and things like that as well. So if you haven't tried Notion yet or had a look at that, and if you don't have any apps in place like a project management tool where it will help you keep on track and move forward with goals, then that would be a great place to start. And Notion has a free version as well that you can try without having to put your credit card details in, etc., which is awesome. So having the goals in place and then being able to step them out in writing first. I am really a very big fan of visually and physically writing out goals and steps and things like that. And then I move them into a project management tool to then sync up with the calendar and keep things on track, etc. So yeah, definitely working those steps out on how to achieve the goals that you've set for the year is obviously going to get you that closer step in achieving your goals. And having things to work on each day, each week, each month, little by little move you towards those goals is really important. The next thing I wanted to mention before we move into some other things around taking action and some practicalities around it is I do want to mention that your goals need to be realistic. So while I'm going to talk about how you deal with failure or not achieving your goals, I do also want to emphasize that having realistic goals is important. There's something to be said for stretch targets, and having a realistic goal and then a stretch target on top of that is something that would be, really amazing to achieve or overachieve your goals into a stretch target. But something that's way out of your comfort zone and really, really unrealistic is just going to sabotage your ability to work on your goals. So I really want to emphasize that, being realistic about the goals that you're setting for yourself. And also another final point I want to make around the first part of this is putting all steps in place, is having another step back and looking at your goals and making sure that they align with your values. So if you haven't done any work around values, there's definitely some different resources you can use. I actually have something on my website. I'm not exactly sure where that can be found. So what I'll do is put it in the show notes if you're wanting to do a values exercise, or I might even do it as a download for you. I know I've got a PDF document that goes with my Mr. and Mrs. Business book that I wrote that's around values. So I'll share that in the show notes. But also, if you've done some work on values and you know what your values are, have you aligned those with your goals? Do any of your goals go against your values or not quite sit well with your values? So, for example, if your goal is to travel and do speaking engagements this year, but one of your values is family time, do those values and goals align? So that's where I think it's important to just go and have a look at your values and what you know those top sort of 6 values are for you, what the important things are, and then make sure that your goals are going to meet them. Because what you'll find is that if they don't align, you'll get further down the track of trying to make these goals happen, and you'll be giving yourself mental roadblocks around them because they don't align with your values. And you won't know what's going on sometimes. It can be a subconscious thing, but it's really important to just have a look at that and make sure that that all lines up nicely, and that you're not going to try and do something that subconsciously may affect your ability to achieve your goals. Okay, so things to look at across the year to really look at taking action in the long term and being able to sustain your ability to take action across the year so that your goals don't end up dropping off after the first quarter or two, and you're all keen now to get in there and get those goals happening, and you've set them up and you've stepped them out in something like a Notion or a Clickup or a Trello, and then in a month or two they just disappear because you're busy in your business and you just don't feel aligned or feel focused and committed to achieving those goals. I really don't want that to happen for you, because goals are very powerful in moving your business forward. And having a plan is really crucial to move your business forward. And so I really want you to be able to work on these and take action long term and across the year, and be able to do that. So there's some things that I want to talk about that will help you with that. So the first one is your mindset and your mental health. So mindset and mental health is something that I really passionately believe in. And while I'm a business financials coach and a bookkeeper, I have been through my own times of burnout and taking on too much work. And so self-care and mindset and mental health to me are really important, particularly for women in business. And so mindset is something that will derail your ability to achieve your goals and even work towards your goals. So I really would encourage you to think about your mindset around the goals that you set. Are you really all in on achieving those things this year? Or is it something that you'd like to achieve, but something is holding you back? When you think about the goals that you've set, how do you feel physically and mentally about those goals? Do they give you butterflies? Do they give you nerves? Do you think, oh my God, how am I going to do that? Or do you think, yes, this is going to be amazing. I cannot wait to achieve that goal. So they're all very different thought patterns and mindsets. And so I'd encourage you to just sit down with your goals and really have a look at that and make sure that, again, they're aligned with what you actually want to be doing this year. Because, again, your mindset will derail you, or it will be your biggest supporter and keep you going in times that are tough in terms of what you're trying to achieve. Mental health is the other thing as well. So burnout and stress, they're parts of everyday life, it seems, these days, but being able to minimize those and being able to be in the pocket of really working towards what you're doing. Your mental health is really important there. It's really important to have that ability to be mindful about what you're doing, to be proactive and be persistent in moving forward with your goals. So your mental health obviously is part of all of that. So I want you to have a think about that. Are you really stressed at the moment? So tacking on trying to achieve 5 goals this year is just a mental load that you can't afford to take on. Are you suffering from burnout? Do you feel like you're moving towards burnout and that you're taking too much on? If that's the case, think about what you've set for goals. Do you need to scale them back a bit? Because the last thing you need is for your mental health to be either affected by you trying to achieve these amazing goals you've set, or that it blocks you from being able to achieve your goals. And the second point is that I want to talk about today is around energy and focus. So following on nicely, I guess, from mental health is your ability to take action long term and achieve your goals and move your business forward and be sustainable for the year to keep you going towards achieving those goals throughout the year. You need energy and focus. So where is your energy best spent? What times of the day are you highest energy to be able to get things done? How are you planning out your day to be able to work on both your business, obviously, on and in your business as the amazing businesswoman that you are? And what times are you allowing to actually do stuff that moves you forward towards your goals? And focus as well comes into this. So energy and focus really do go a lot hand in hand. So if you're really low on energy, you're not going to be able to focus on what you're trying to achieve. And so being able to pick those times to plan this out and have a day where, or a time of the day that really you're able to smash out hours worth of work and really be focused and really get quality tasks done versus picking the moments that you can grab, I guess, around kids and running the business and doing all of that. It's not going to help you move towards your goals. And so if you find that you're not finding enough time or energy and focus time to achieve your goals, then again, it might be something to either look at how your time's being spent and do a time review, or you might need to scale back your goals and just be a little bit more realistic about what you can achieve right now, where you're at, and how that moves nicely into the next point, how committed and passionate you are to achieving what you want to achieve. So the next point is perseverance, commitment, and passion. So perseverance. So while there is a fine line between not actually having the time because we're women in business with families, with children, with other things going on in our lives, and not prioritizing the time. They're two very different things. So your perseverance around trying to find the time, if you are all in, committed, and really passionate about the goals that you've set for yourself this year and making sure you achieve them, then those things all go hand in hand. So if you don't have a passion for the goals that you've set for yourself, then it's going to derail you very quickly. If you're not committed to finding the time, so that might be, do you work one evening a week instead of family time for one of those evenings, or Netflix, or whatever that may be? Are you committed to actually persevering even in tough times and moving forward with the goals? If you don't have that perseverance and that commitment and that passion, then your goals may still be those goals at the end of the year. And I don't want that for you. I really want you to find the goals that fit all of these things that actually allow you to achieve what it is that you want to achieve for your business and reach the level that you want to achieve. And the last thing I want to point out, which again follows on from point number 3, I've done these really nicely in a flow. I didn't plan it that way, but it worked well, is enjoyment. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, now it's not going to be fun and, happy times all day, every day in our business and achieving goals and working hard and doing all of that, of course. But you've got to have a baseline fundamental enjoyment of what you're trying to achieve and the goals you're trying to achieve. Otherwise, you're just not going to have the motivation to actually achieve them and take action. So lastly, as we finish up this episode talking about taking action on achieving your goals this year, is, I said it in the last one, I've said it a few times in different posts and things, is don't set and forget. So don't set these goals, don't do this work, don't sit down and think about the podcast and the things that I've said today, and then set and forget your goals and then not be able to do anything about them. And they sit there until the end of the year when you do your review and think, oh, I didn't achieve those things. So don't set and forget. So that means throughout the year, finding time and setting time aside, I would do this monthly, would be tracking your goals. How are you tracking towards your goals? So if it's a financial goal or if it's a set of steps that you've put into something like Notion or ClickUp or Trello, etc., tick those off as you go. Have a tracking system and tick boxes. Like, I don't know about you, but I love ticking things off. So having a little sheet, even if it was a sticky note that said, this week, these are the things I want to tick off to say I've done them, have some sort of tracking system, a spreadsheet. Again, I love a spreadsheet. So go ahead and do a spreadsheet if that works for you, but have something that tracks how you're going on your goals each week, each month, etc. Celebrating. So tracking allows you to see, have I achieved this or not? And when you've achieved it, that's a milestone. That's something to celebrate. That's something to really give yourself a pat on the back or give yourself a night out or movies or a message or whatever it is that floats your boat, but do something to celebrate and make sure that you are doing that along the way, because it really does give you that motivation to keep moving with your goals, taking that action. And the last one is to review your results. So you're tracking, you're celebrating. Reviewing is part of looking at, have you set your goals too high or too low? Have you set them just right? Are you achieving them? If you're not achieving them, why are you not achieving them? Are they really goals that you're passionate, committed, and want to persevere with? Because I did say again in the last episode, don't feel like you have to set these goals in concrete for the whole year. If you get halfway through and this goal is just not happening, you're just not interested, you've lost the passion, just get rid of it and focus on the other ones. Equally, if you're really smashing a goal, set yourself a certain target for the year and you've achieved it 6 months through, then bump it up and go crazy and go to the next level. That's where reviewing your results really gives you an opportunity to keep things on the right path, whether that path, turns to the left or the right because you're changing things slightly, but it keeps you moving forward and on the path if you review your results regularly. And as I said, I'd probably suggest monthly. And the last point on all of this is I'd like you to just consider how you see failure. And I don't really like the word failure. So how you see not achieving your goals. What happens if you don't achieve that goal at the end of the year? What are the consequences of that? What do you lose if you don't achieve that? And what do you choose to learn from that experience? And what do you choose to take on and use from that experience and that learning to improve the next year? There's so many things that you can learn from not achieving things about yourself, about your mindset, about your commitment, your motivation, your passion, all of those sorts of things. If you sit down and really look at why you didn't achieve something, and also just the general for your business, the general realities and statistics, if you've got financial data, etc., that depending on what the failure, if you like, is, look at all of that and then learn something from it and move forward. So we're not beating ourselves up about not achieving things. And if that is your default position on things that don't go to plan, let's call it that instead of failure, things that don't go to plan, then that's something for you to work on with your mindset. Because as women in business, we are going to have things that don't go to plan all of the time. For some of us, it's a daily or a weekly thing. And that's okay because that moves us forward. And I'm sure that you could think of someone successful that you look up to that has had many things that didn't go to plan along the way, and now they're smashing their goals and they've got amazing businesses. So these are just things to help us along the way, but it shouldn't detract from us taking action. So that is it for episode 28. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you've got something useful out of this and that you are well underway with working on your goals for this year, having them in place and then starting to see what results are coming out of what you want to achieve for this year. Thank you for sharing time with me again, and I look forward to talking to you on the next episode. Bye for now.
This episode was brought to you by my mini course, Money In, Money Out. Head over to our website, blossomingbusiness.com.au, for this episode's show notes found under podcasts. And if you're interested, jump on the Money In, Money Out waitlist to find out when it's next available. You've been listening to the Her Money, Her Business podcast with me, Sonja Balzarolo. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review over on iTunes. It really does help to get the podcast out to more people. And of course, I love hearing your feedback. Thanks for listening, And here's to knowing your finances and growing your business. It's your money, your business.